Okay, what's up, podcast? We're back. Today is February 25th, 2020, and I have a guest on. We've known each other for quite a while. How are you doing, Mr. Elton Richey?
Hey, thanks for letting me come on.
Yes, sir. So, I'm still a little under the weather. I apologize for my voice, guys, but it's slowly getting better. But enough about me today. I want to talk about Mr. Elton Richey. So, Elton, as we spoke briefly, you have had quite a few careers in your lifetime.
Yeah, I've done a couple of different things. That's right.
Yeah. So I'd like to kind of hit on all those things because it's just you've been through so much, and you're a veteran. You're in the police force. You're an attorney, and now you're a travel agent.
Just your friendly neighborhood travel agent.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about how you got started? Like growing up, where did you grow up at? Where are you from originally? We've never talked about that.
Sure. But can I do one thing first?
Yeah.
I brought you a little gift. First, I want to thank you for giving me a chance to come on this show.
Yeah.
It's a great show. And this morning I listened because I wanted to go back and listen back a few different episodes. I went back all the way back to the very first one.
Okay.
And I thought this is just a great idea.
Yeah.
And it went really well. But today is what day?
What is today? Fat Tuesday.
Fat Tuesday. Look what I brought.
Sweet beads.
Beads.
I'm not getting chocolates for you.
You got beads there, buddy.
Nice.
Hey, and I got beads. You got beads here.
Yeah.
You can have those.
Awesome.
I'll take this one. But I got a special one here for you because Carol and I, my wife and I, joined a crew this year.
Yeah. Okay.
We joined the crew of Gemini.
Okay.
And of course, the theme was vacation.
Of course it was.
How could we not join, right?
Yeah.
So here is the King's Medallion.
Awesome.
From
Thank you.
Crew of Gemini.
I feel like royalty. I thought,
Well, you are.
my Mardi Gras season was over with, but it's still going. Let's do it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so today is Fat Tuesday, so
Yeah.
we're going to celebrate the rest of the day.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
All right, so let me see. I'm supposed to tell you something about me. Okay.
Yeah, man. How'd you get started? Where are you from? And just let's shotgun into how you started your first life journey among the other three.
Oh gosh. Well, I was born and raised here in Shreveport.
Okay.
Actually, originally born in what was called Allendale.
Okay.
At the time was an old Italian neighborhood, and then moved out to Cedar Grove area, and lived there for quite a while, and then moved into Southern Hills, and grew up, went to Woodlawn High School, and graduated in 1973. Didn't really know what to do with myself, and an Army recruiter found me.
Okay.
And so I enlisted in the Army National Guard, and went off and the basic training, came back, eventually went to officer candidate school, got a commission as a second lieutenant in 1976, and went to infantry training, became an infantry officer, came back home after that, and met my wife Carol here in Shreveport. She was here actually on a little 6-month stint for Texas Eastern. They were getting ready to move down to Houston.
Okay, so she's not from here?
She's not from here. Carol's been around enough for a couple of different places.
Okay.
She was born in Costa Rica. Her father was a federal highway bridge engineer.
Okay.
And so he traveled around the country with different highway projects. Born in Costa Rica, lived for a while in upstate New York, and in Baton Rouge. He was the chief engineer on the I-10 bridge over the Mississippi.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And that's a big project.
That is a huge project. And so she was up here, and we met we were staying at, we both had apartments, apartment building downtown. I think it's called the Fairmont now. It used to be called the Townhouse.
Okay.
And I met her at the swimming pool. Have a swimming pool out back up on the deck and everything. I saw her one afternoon, and at the time I was waiting to get on to the police department, and I was reading meters for SWEPCO. Best job I ever had in my life.
Really?
Get up at
There's no way.
Get up at 7:30 in the morning, go out, read those meters. You'd be done by 12:30 or so. And of course they tell you, don't you bring those cards back in before 2:30.
Right.
So you go home, relax, come back, turn your cards in. And so I saw her at a swimming pool, and she was walking back into the building, and I was walking out, and I spoke to her, and she ignored me. And so the next day I saw her out there, and I had a beer, and I just walked over and just poured beer on her foot and got her attention. It was a little painful when I did that, but I did get her attention.
Well, there you go.
We've been together now for 42 years. We were married. Our anniversary was last week, 41 years.
That's a long ride.
Yeah.
And y'all are still doing everything together.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She is not just my wife. She's my friend. She's my partner. She's kind of the center of everything.
And most people go through their whole life and never find that, so you're lucky to have that.
Oh, I am a lucky dog.
Well, so you have, how many children do you have?
I have 2 children. We call them 2 only children because they're 11 years apart.
Okay.
I have a daughter named Catherine. She is an architect in Dallas.
Yeah.
And a graduate from LSU Architecture School.
Okay.
And went to school here at Captain Shreve. And her specialty is schools. That's what she does, is designs schools. And in fact, she last year they opened up I think it's the Katherine Johnson Math Academy, Math and Science Academy in Garland that she designed.
Nice. And
Katherine Johnson, of course, was the mathematician, the woman who was behind the space program.
Okay.
She just passed away at 101 this past year. So, but Catherine designed that
that's awesome.
project. She was one of the lead architects on it.
Yeah.
And then I have a son who is about 11 years younger than her, who is he's a lieutenant now, Lieutenant JG in the Navy, stationed in Hawaii, and living the life out there.
Okay.
And
you were in the Army?
I was in the Army and Army Reserve and
okay.
the National Guard for a total of 31 years.
And then you went on to, so you were in the Army and you went on to the police force.
Yeah.
And how long were you on the police force?
9 years. Exactly,
9 years.
Exactly 9 years.
Did you do more patrol, or how did that work?
More patrol. I really enjoy patrol work because you're out, you get to meet people, you get to talk to people all day long, and you're kind of your own boss out there on the street. And what I enjoyed the most, I would ride around with, it didn't matter whether it was winter or whether it was summer. The windows would be all the way down, and I'd either have the heater going or the air conditioner going. I wanted to hear what was going on in the street and be able to stop and talk to people and things like that.
Okay.
I worked mostly evening shift. At that time, we had a crew that was called the power shift, and we worked 4 10-hour days a week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it was peak crime hours. And our job was to provide backup on violent crime calls and things like that. When the local district unit was down, we would back them up and stuff. And my area was everything north of I-20.
Okay.
So I had just roving patrol all the way around.
And it was for the Shreveport.
Shreveport.
Okay, got you.
So everything north of I-20 all the way through to the city limits. Oops.
Now, so you did that, and I'm sure you had some great stories from there. But from there you go back to the military.
I did. I quit the police department, went back and did about a 6-month tour at the infantry school. Went back. I think I was a captain at that time.
Okay.
And came back and stayed at the police department for just about 2 months, and quit and went back to school full time. It took me 13 years to get my undergraduate degree going full time. I did the last 2 full time, and from there, I did not intend to go to law school. That was never my intention. I thought very seriously about going into, changing my degree. I was studying, at that time, it was a criminal justice degree. And I thought, this was 1988.
Okay.
86 when I left the department. And I thought, I'll go get my degree in computer science, because computers were just coming out. I remember that we had desktop PCs. I had a Model 4P Tandy Radio Shack portable computer, which was like a small sewing machine.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'll go get a degree in computer science. So I signed up for Algebra 2. I walked into that Algebra 2 class, half hour later, I got up and walked. He said, "No, I'm going to stick with criminal justice."
There's not much math in that.
No, it wasn't. So I finished up there, and I got talked into taking the law school exam by two buddies who were both my age. We all went back to school in our 30s, and they intentionally got their degrees in criminal justice because they wanted to go to law school.
Yeah.
And so they talked me into taking the law school entrance exam with them at that time. And so I did that in February of my senior year. And I was the only one out of school good enough to get into law school.
Really? And they actually wanted to do it, you got in.
Right, I had no
That's
idea.
Interesting.
So I came home and I said, well, Carol says, well, what are we going to do? I says, well, I think we're going to go to law school. She said, oh, great. I get to put you through another 3 years of school.
Yeah, so what was she doing at the time?
At the time, she was a secretary for a guy who was a fantastic entrepreneur and businessman. I know you probably heard of him. I don't know if you ever met him. John Porter, who founded Porter's Cleaners.
Okay, got you.
And she was his personal secretary.
Oh, okay.
And John kept her employed and was a great friend of the family. And his family's been a great friend of our family for a long time. And helped us get through school. And so she put me through my last 2 years of undergrad, and then put me through. She continued to work all the way through law school once we moved to Georgia to go to law school.
Okay.
So,
And then you graduated from Georgia what year?
that was 91.
91.
And then
I was 2 years old.
I had Catherine was what? It was 92, she was born 93, 91, born 83. I guess she was what, 7, 8 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we went to Savannah, practiced law in Savannah for a year. And then I got an offer to come back to work for Weldon Jack Jr., who's, you know, a legendary lawyer in North Louisiana.
Okay.
And Welburn is, I had clerked for him in the summer between going to law school, and he would send me work to do while I was in law school. I'd do research for him and things like that. And after a year in Savannah, he made me an offer I couldn't refuse to come back to Shreveport. I had no desire. We burned every bridge we had. When we
Really?
it's like we torched it down. And,
Yeah.
But I kept that one connection with Welborn, and he made me an offer I couldn't refuse to come back to work for him. And he has been kind of like a father to me, and he was my mentor as a lawyer. And he literally would come, even up 2-3 years ago when I was trying cases, he would come to the courthouse and sit on the front row, and it's like having your dad come watch you at work. It was great. You know, it's kind of a reverse career day almost.
Yeah. So, well, now that you brought that up, so what did your parents do? Was that something behind you getting into the military or the law enforcement, or?
Well, I guess a little bit. My father was a Shreveport police officer.
Okay.
And my mother worked at the phone company. She did everything there from, she was started as a key punch operator when they used those little cards for, data cards for computers. And eventually went out and climbed poles and everything. So she did, I think, every job they had at the phone company at one time. She retired from that. And but you know, I was never encouraged to kind of go off in any particular career direction. My father kind of left me, you know, to kind of do what I wanted. It's interesting. I think he was a little bit proud and a little bit disappointed when I became a police officer. I actually have his badge number. They gave me his badge number.
That's awesome. Okay.
When I graduated from the academy, but I think he wanted me to do something else.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and so I you know, I think it was kind of strange. So hold on a second. The problem I have here is I have this thing turned off. These little things in my ears tell me it's ringing. See?
Yeah.
These are great, by the way. I love these hearing aids. I got them from the VA.
And you can talk on the phone through them, right?
Yes, and that's the problem. I'm sitting here, my phone's way over there, and it's ringing, and I'm trying to tell the dang thing to stop. I'm just going to turn it off.
Well, so you, going back to that, so how long did you practice law? You did personal injury and criminal defense, correct?
I did.
Okay.
I did, and starting in '91.
Okay.
And then I closed my office in October.
This past year.
This past year in October. And I like practicing law. I really did pretty much everything I ever wanted to do as a lawyer. And I'm one of those people that once I've kind of mastered something and done something once, I'm ready, do it once or twice more, and then I'm bored. I want to move on and do something else. And one of the things about law, I never thought, I liked being a lawyer, I liked doing the work, but it's very stressful for one, particularly those kinds of law. Because I mean, I used to laugh and tell people, I joke, I'd say, I practice crisis law. Unless you've been in an ambulance or ridden in a paddy wagon, you don't need me, right?
Right.
So you're always, it's always stressful because you're either dealing with somebody's freedom or you're dealing with their future because they've been injured or hurt or, God forbid, lost a loved one, and they've got financial issues that you're trying to recover money for them to deal with that.
Yeah.
So it's a very stressful thing, and my wife was my office manager for probably 15 years. And I love working with her because she's very detail oriented, she's very thorough, and we're like complete opposites.
Yeah.
Absolutely complete opposites. If you talk about how opposites attract, they're like complete opposites. Right. I think back to when I was 21 years old. I was the guy in the military uniform, that guy.
Yeah.
And she was the girl with the long hair and the macrame plant hangers and the hippie kind of thing. And so it was an interesting attraction.
Yeah.
But I loved working with her. But the problem with it is, as a business, it's not a good entrepreneurial business model, I don't think. And so for part of the problem, of course, is that you can't have a partner unless they are a lawyer.
Right.
Okay. Well, she was my partner, but she wasn't a lawyer. So there came times where we really couldn't make joint decisions. I had to be the guy to say, this has to be done.
Yeah.
And that can kind of, when it's your wife, it can be a little challenging sometimes.
Of course, yeah. Not to mention you have to always take work home with you.
That's correct.
Yeah.
You don't turn it off. Well, any kind of an entrepreneur, you never turn it off.
No, of course not.
And what's funny is that she used to, I can remember going home and getting home at 7:30 and she said, dinner's in the microwave. We were supposed to be here at 5:30.
Yeah.
Well, now, if I can get her out of that travel agency at 7:30, I'm doing good.
You say, hey, remember when?
Yeah, exactly.
Remember when? Hey, dinner's in the microwave.
I get to go a little like told you so thing. But it was not, and the other thing is it's hard business to pass along to your children if you want to try and do that. It's a difficult business to sell.
Yeah.
Because, one of the challenges is the barrier to entry into being a lawyer is really very low. All you need is a law license.
Yeah.
All you need is a laptop computer and a cell phone. Come down here to Cohab. Hey, I'm a lawyer.
Right.
You don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
You got no experience. You got no connections. But hey, you're in business.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to build a business, particularly with the kind of law that I was doing, where every case is, I don't have repeat clients in the criminal law and in the personal injury business, or at least I hope. So it's hard to build a business that you can sell or pass on.
Right.
And so I started looking around probably around 2004 after I retired from the military and reserves, started looking around for another business that Carol and I could get into. And we looked at a lot of different things. She said right away, no to restaurants. You never have a life with a restaurant because you just live there all the time. And she's right. And then so we looked at a couple of different other things, and I looked at I started doing some research on the internet. How you can go to different websites and check out different franchises and things like that. Well, we had taken our first cruise on a cruise ship on our 20th anniversary. Loved it. Mm-hmm. And started cruising about every other year after that. And then I came across on one of the franchise listing sites, Expedia Cruise Ship Center. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this is interesting. first off, travel is the one thing, if we share anything in common as a passion, it's travel.
Yeah.
We love to travel. And that's what, and she always was great about making sure that we would take time to go do things together as a family. She and I would go take time together. I remember when I hired a practice coach when I was building my law firm. He asked, we sat down and set some goals and stuff like that. And I was all eager and ready to do it because I had just come back from active duty, and I had been sharing space with a couple of other attorneys, but we were not a firm and we didn't really work together to build a business or anything. Yeah. And so I was really excited about getting started building a firm because I realized I had to do something. If it was just me, when you're a lawyer, if you're not billing hours, nobody's making money.
Yeah.
So the only way to do something about it is you have to build a firm.
Yeah.
And you know how much they teach you in law school about how to build a business.
I'm sure absolutely nothing.
About
yeah.
that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was excited and everything.
Sounds like marketing schools. Same thing. They don't really teach you anything. Right. It's like, hey, this is all about marketing and business, but nothing to know about running a business.
Exactly.
It's all these statistics and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So you got all this knowledge, you have no clue what to do with it. Mm-hmm. How to make money with it is what you don't know how to do. And so I remember we sat down with a fellow named Glenn Gutek, who was my practice coach, longtime practice coach. From the very first meeting, we were excited because we were setting some goals and some plans to kind of, take control of our business.
Yeah.
And he said, he had all these papers and stuff right here with these things written down. He says, okay, let's push that aside. Now stop. Tell me what you want your life to look like. And then we'll build your business to support your lifestyle.
Okay.
And the first thing he had asked, he said, what are you talking about? He says, when's the last time you had a vacation? And Carol looked right at me and said, we haven't had a vacation. We've never had a vacation. So he said, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with, the goal is, we're going to take this in bite-sized chunks. Every 3 months, you're going to take a 4-day weekend. And we're going to build up, and in the end of 2 years, you're going to take a full week-long vacation.
Yeah. And
then at the end of 3 years, you're going to take 2 weeks. And at the end of 5 years, you're going to take 3 weeks. And he did.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. So, gosh, I forgot how we got off on this, but travel became kind of, it unveiled for us how much we really enjoy traveling.
And so whenever you started thinking about what else you wanted to get into and you're getting ready to get rid of your practice or thinking about long term, you guys decided to get a travel agency.
Right. So what happened was, I came across this information on Expedia, and I contacted them, the offices in head offices in Vancouver, Canada. And what attracted me about it was, number one, it was primarily cruise. I mean, we sell everything, all kinds of travel, but cruise is the core product. And the other thing that attracted me about it was Expedia. You had the power of the number one brand in travel, and it was a franchise. We would own the business. And I knew from having built my law firm that having a proven model is so much easier than trying to reinvent.
Of course. I mean, and I remember, I guess it was in the 90s when travel agents were like really popular, and you had these little boutique agencies popping up left and right, but they never lasted long.
Right. It was an interesting thing that has taken place in travel over, I guess, the past, I guess you could say 40 years almost. Carol worked when we were in Savannah, and when I was practicing there, she worked at a travel agency for a while. And at that time, most travel agencies were, their business model was to sell business travel.
Yeah.
That meant hotel rooms and flights and rent cars, okay? And then occasionally they would sell vacation travel on the side.
Right.
Vacation travel was not the core product of most travel agencies. Well, what happened is two things kind of converged. Obviously, the internet was springing up at about that time, And so you started seeing travel websites popping up on the internet. Expedia started about that time, okay? But the big thing that happened is air travel at that point had become what we call commoditized.
Yeah.
It was just, buy your ticket.
Yep.
And airlines cut out commissions to travel agents.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that was ever a connection there, so that makes sense.
Yeah, up until about the late 80s, early 90s, airlines paid commission.
Okay.
And then when they pulled those commissions, then that just almost it starved most travel agencies. And then at the same time, the internet's popping up, and people can book their hotel rooms for their business travel on their own.
Right.
So now you didn't need a travel agent to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember when you go back and you need an airplane ticket, you had to go down to a travel agent's office and pick it up.
Yeah.
Physically. So those two things drove. It was a real shakeout of the travel industry.
Yeah.
Well, at the same time, there was another trend that was going on, and that was you had the beginnings of the cruise industry starting up, particularly, and it was really cruises became popularized. You remember the show The Love Boat?
I do not.
Oh gosh,
I do not. I don't know that one.
big show back in the 70s, 80s, and all and 90s, I guess. And it was Princess Cruises.
Okay.
Was the cruise line that was featured in The Love Boat, and then Carnival Corporation came along and started really mass marketing cruises.
Yeah.
And making cruises accessible to people at all income levels. And so you had this cruise industry that started growing, and it has grown at a rate of about, I want to say 12% for the past 20 years. And it's huge. This is how big the industry is and how big it's growing. If you wanted to build a cruise ship today, you were going to say you had a couple $1 billion and you were going to open a cruise line, and you went to Italy, or you went to one of the other countries in I think Finland, where you can build cruise ships. Okay, even in the U.S., you would wait in line 5 years. They have that many back orders for new ships coming on.
And I'm sure it takes quite a while to build one too.
It does.
Yeah.
It's about a year. So so what happened is agencies that focused on vacation travel, all-inclusive vacations, cruises in particular, they just went up.
Yeah.
They continued to go up. And so Cruise Ship Centers was a franchise in Canada, and that had done very, very well. And they're 30 years old, and about 15 years ago now, Expedia said, we want to be everywhere where travel is sold.
Mm-hmm.
So they purchased Cruise Ship Centers, and then a few years later they rolled it into the U.S. We were one of, I think we were number 50 of the number of stores that first opened up in the U.S.
Okay.
But the interesting piece of it is this. So I contacted these guys, got the information, and looked at a little bit, but things were happening with the law firm. I had some associates. At that time, I think I had 4 associates and probably 3 paralegals. It had grown pretty big. And you know how it is when you've got a business, you can't just walk away from it.
Unfortunately, no, you can't.
You can't, because there are times you want to,
Yep.
right? I know you've experienced that.
Yeah.
So I said, look, hey, I've got a lease that runs out, going for another year or so, and I've got some things going on. Call me back in a year.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, I'm scheduled to go on a cruise. My son was in college, his first year, and we're going to take him on a cruise out of Orlando at spring break. And a week before, I went to see my doctor to have a stress test. We've been following. My father died very young from a heart attack at age 47, so I've been following along with a cardiologist for a long time. And the first time he looks at me and says, "I don't like what I'm seeing on this thing. We're gonna tell you what we're gonna do. Monday morning, show up, we're gonna do a calf. And this is the week before we're scheduled to go on this cruise, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll go in, I'll have maybe he'll put in a stint, and I'll just relax on the cruise and recuperate, he'll be okay. Well, when I wake up, he's holding this sheet of paper, and he says, this is a diagram of your heart. You see those 10 blockages there? I can stent all 10 of those, but I don't think you want me to.
Man.
So we're not letting you out.
Yeah.
So I stayed in the hospital and rode on the good ship Willis Knighton for a couple of weeks, and I had triple bypass.
Ooh.
So
and what age was that?
I was 59.
Okay.
59, 58, 59. And so I'm at home recuperating, right? And I get a call. Elton, this is Mike Mootsarts with Expedia Cruise Ship Centers. You got time to look at this thing yet? Well, yeah, I do.
Not doing anything else right now.
Not doing anything else. So that was in, gosh, where was that? I guess that was like April or May. And by August, we had bought the franchise.
And what year was that?
That was 2014.
Okay.
2014, and then it took us until 2015 to actually open the store.
Well, so we met in 2016 because we started the marketing company in January of 16
Yes.
publicly, and you and I met in a networking group,
That's right.
which is called BNI, which anybody who's in business or any kind of networking probably have heard of it. And
if they hadn't, then they should.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a great networking group, but I was able to meet people like you and your wife. And I couldn't remember at the time. I couldn't remember exactly when that was, but now that you talked about it, I know exactly when it was. And it's funny because now we're sitting here talking, and when I first met you, I got the jitters speaking in front of people because we had a group of 30-something people.
Yeah, it was a big group.
And you had to stand up every week and talk about your business in front of everyone. And man, I hated it. And it's funny now that we're doing this, back then when I first met you, I couldn't even barely speak about business, much less be on a show in public or talk in front of people.
Right, and now you're educating people about business,
yeah,
which is great.
It's
which
funny.
is what I love about your show. And you don't talk about this. I've listened to enough of your podcasts to know that you don't. You have had some very great success at a very early age.
Yeah.
You're what, 30 years old?
I'm 30, yeah.
You're 30 years old. See, I was just going back to college at 30.
Right.
You're already well into your career as an entrepreneur. You did you had a great success at a young age that allowed you to move into an entrepreneur position.
Right.
And the other thing about you that most people don't know, if they don't, or maybe all your listeners don't know, is that you were, and what struck me about you when I first talked to you is this guy is just, when you know something about your success level, and most people don't know, for example, that you have a background as a fighter.
Right. Yeah. And I don't flaunt that these days and age.
You never flaunt it. That's the whole point. Is that what struck me about, and when I learned that, I said, this is kind of incongruous because he's such a humble guy. But I think it's a function of the discipline that you have to have to really be a good fighter. And to be a good warrior.
Well, I mean, just like you're in the, you're in the armed forces. It's the same thing. You got to be able to be structured and disciplined, and know when to talk and when to be quiet and when to make the right decisions.
Yeah. So, but you have had some great success, and so now you're not that guy who would just kind of show up and stand up and give your little structured 2-minute thing, and now you're out teaching people some of the things that you've learned. Right. So that's great. That's fantastic.
I mean, thank you for that. I mean, for me, I started at a young age. I moved out when I was 15, and my mom and stepdad moved away, and I didn't want to go with them, so I moved in with a family member. And then next thing I know, by 16, I'm out on my own, and I just wanted to grow up quick because I wanted to make money because we were very poor growing up. And so that kind of just motivated me. And then I got in oil and gas, worked real hard, and then was able to, get into this industry with two great guys. And we started this thing, and it's just blown up. But, all that being said, I just enjoy connecting people and talking to people that have some kind of value. And when we go back to like the travel industry, because I know that that's where you're at right now, and that's where your passion's at. I can just tell as we've talked, you skipped over all the interesting stuff. Not really. Travel's interesting. All of it's interesting, but to be in the armed forces, be a veteran, be a police officer, be a practicing attorney who just is now retired, and now you're in another industry. It's just crazy, and this is a great one, but. I think all of it contributes to relationships, especially the attorney and the travel agency.
I think, actually, you're right. I mean, I can see how all of those things have kind of, in some way, kind of built on one another, or contributed to success at the next venture.
Yeah.
And the interesting one, the military background helps a great deal in the travel industry with the part that I do, because I don't sell individual travel.
Right.
Carol says, Elton, you're not allowed to sell. Because she knows I'm not a detail guy. I'm the vision, I'm the strategy and stuff. So I'm only allowed to talk to customers in groups of 30 or more.
Okay, that makes sense.
So what I do is I handle the marketing, the promotions. I do the strategic planning for the business, and I build groups. And what I like doing, because like you said, connecting with people and connecting people is so much fun. And what I like the most about the travel business is that it allows me to do that. And that's what I always liked about that networking group I was in, is the ability to connect people together. And watch the neat things that happen when you bring people together. And so what I try and do a lot with that business is I try to find other businesses who don't compete. We don't compete. Our products don't compete, and I try to work with them collaboratively, because travel, we live in an experience economy. It's you go back 150 years ago, and it was kind of everybody did everything for themselves. You wanted a birthday cake, you went to the store and you bought the flour, you bought the eggs and the milk and the butter, you put it all together and you baked a cake, and you presented that, to the family for the birthday person you celebrated for their birthday. And then we kind of, along comes the Industrial Revolution, and then we get into mass marketing and mass production. And then if you wanted a birthday cake, you went to the grocery store and you picked up a Betty Crocker's or a Duncan Hines, and you brought it home and you baked it and you put that out on the table. And then, it progresses a little more, and now you want a birthday cake, but everybody's working, mom's working, dad's working, you ain't got time, so what do? You stop by Brookshire's and you pick up a birthday cake, right? And so now you don't do that anymore. Now you have a birthday party, you pick up the phone, you call an event planner.
Exactly.
And you say, I need to have a birthday party for my 10-year-old. Or like I did when it was our 40th anniversary last year, I picked up the phone and called my friend who owns a winery, and I said, I'm going to bring 40 people over to your place, and we're going to have a surprise anniversary party for my wife. So it's about experience. We've moved from product to experience.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, and now you said that, I love that. I love talking about that, because I see so many people, especially people who are successful in business, that waste so much money on that $6 coffee or that those expensive clothes just to make an awesome picture on Instagram, and then they don't have any money left to spend on actual experience.
Right.
But why do you think, I'm interested to know this, why do you think experience now is so important versus 50 years ago?
Well, I think it's just, in some ways, they're more accessible. I can remember when, I'm 64 now, so I can remember when I was responsible for mowing the yard, raking the grass, painting the house, all that stuff. So now when I want the windows cleaned, we call Window Genie. Window Genie cleans the windows. We have someone who takes care of the yard. I don't bother painting anymore. And I ain't worked on a car since I got a lawsuit. I can't do it. I have a brother who is a natural engineer. Who builds race cars and things like that. Not me. I didn't get that gene. But I think as we become more specialized across the board, all of the U.S. economy, more experiences are more accessible.
Yeah.
And so there are people out there who will throw your birthday party. There are people out there who will, plan and who will go buy your groceries
Yeah.
for you, and so it's an experience-based economy. Travel is an experience, but travel is also a social experience. And so what I try to do in our marketing plan, which is I think a bit different than a lot of people, and I found some businesses that respond well to it and partner well with us. I found others that are just it's so foreign to them.
Yeah.
They're just used to a straight, here, you pay me and I do this. Straight transaction, okay? But when you work collaboratively, then you both bring something to the table. It's not just a straight money for a product or money for a service thing. For example, we did we do this all the time. We'll partner with usually a restaurant or a brewery or weanery, something, because food and wine goes with travel.
Yeah, of
right?
course. I mean, that's part of the experience.
Yeah, it's part of the experience. And so what we do is when we're having a promotional event, we want people to come and have a great experience.
Yeah.
And while we tell them about some great experiences they can have traveling, we want them to have a great experience. We don't want them to sit there at a boring sales presentation or something. So what we'll do, we had a really good event about 3 weeks ago with Cindy Johnson, Southern Fare. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
No, I'm not.
She's a caterer.
Okay.
She's over off of Elizabeth Street.
Okay.
And she has a little house there. It's very nice. You can go and you can have, ladies can have tea and things like that and stuff. And so we did high tea with celebrity cruises.
Yeah.
Okay. And we had a nice presentation. Everyone came in and she served tea. She served scones.
Yeah.
She did a presentation and talked about what high tea was and how we did it. So that, for the particular demographic that we wanted to present this to, it worked great. We filled the place.
Yeah,
up.
I mean, you do. I noticed that because I've been to one of your. You were doing the. We're looking at the the river cruises and European river cruises. You do your research and development on the market, and you bring that experience, a little bit of that taste of that experience to the people you're presenting to, and you're like, hey, here's a little bit of info, here's some food you make, here's a little bit of a food and a little bit of a drink that's just to give you a little bit, to where they grab onto it like, okay, I can see that these people already are so involved in the upfront that they know they're going to follow through with the experience the rest of the way, and that's what counts.
Yeah, and it's like don't listen to me tell you about what this is.
Yeah.
Here's a little bit of that experience.
Yeah.
Try it for yourself. Well, now so when you're working collaboratively with someone, like the event you came to, I think was at the brewery. I think you had Jared on here.
Yeah, we were going to do. It was the Oktoberfest for next year. Yeah.
So what we did with them though is we collaborate with them.
Yeah.
Okay. So they bring something to the table too. It's not just I can just go to Jared and say, okay, here, Jared, here. I'm going to do an event here. Let me give you X amount of dollars, and you provide the beer and the stuff like that. We paid some of that stuff, but he also subsidized some of that. But it wasn't just that. They wanted to present something to their customers. Right. So we co-market to their customer base, to our customer base, and it gives him something it gives that business owner something to take to their customers and say, here's some added value for you. Come do something with us. I
love that word you just said, value.
Yeah.
Value sells more now than it ever has. I think here's why, and this is my opinion, and you may not agree, you may agree. Everything is available at scale now. You can buy 50 different kind of soft drinks. You can buy 100 different kind of beers. No matter what it is, it all goes back to experience and value. Why am I using this product? Do I get value of it? Why am I using this person's services? Do they give me value? Or why am I going to this place because of the experience? Let me ask you another question. Since you've been traveling, I'm sure you get all the hookups and all the cool places to go. Where's your favorite place so far you've been?
So far, Havana.
Okay.
I loved it.
Why?
Because it was a step back in time almost. I mean, it was like it was frozen in the 1950s.
Really?
Which is, I was born in '55, and it was such a unique place. And you know, you go to a lot of places you go to in the Caribbean, and you're going to run into some street vendors and hustlers and people coming in, you know, always trying to sell you and stuff like that. Well, in Havana, people would come up to you, but they weren't trying to sell you. They were very curious. What are you Americans doing here? Why did you come?
Yeah.
You know? And what was so interesting is that the Cuban people and the American people love each other. It's our governments that can't get along.
Right.
And you know, so you know, I really enjoyed Havana. Right now, you really can't go back. The travel restrictions have been reimposed, and it's just so difficult to fit into some of the niches that you have to fit into to do it. But I look forward to the day when that reopens.
So you're saying that also you being able to travel all these different places, because you've been pretty much all over the world now at this point. I mean, I've seen photos of you every
Not
time.
all over, but
Well, every time I'm on Facebook or, you know, whatever social media platform we're connected on, I'll see, well, Elton's here this week. I'm like, damn, I wish I was here. I'm gonna make it there one day. But
you're young.
where have you experienced the best food at?
Best Italian restaurant I have.
So Italian's your
best
favorite
Italian
food?
restaurant I've ever eaten at. I'm Italian, so I love Italian
Okay.
food. In France.
In
Paris,
France.
believe it or not. Paris was an interesting place because, you know, I've had a lot of people tell me, I didn't care for Paris, I don't like the French and that kind of stuff. The people were, you know, they were obnoxious and that sort of. That was just not my experience.
Okay.
You know, our experience in Paris was just fabulous. The people were friendly, accommodating. We stayed right across from the cathedral there before it burned, and we also did a river cruise out to Normandy and back, and it was the food was just indescribably good. If you follow me on Facebook, you've probably seen some
Yeah,
of those
I
photos.
have. That's why I asked. Well, let me ask you another thing. I know you're a bourbon guy, and you do enjoy a good drink occasionally. Where's the best place you've actually had a drink at in your travels?
The Tropicana
Okay.
in Havana.
Okay.
You come to the Tropicana. It is an open air nightclub,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to describe it to you. When you come up to it, there's a band playing out front. The ladies are all given roses. The men are all given Cuban cigars.
Yeah.
And they take you in and you sit down, and the main stage is you're sitting in front of the main stage, facing that at kind of longish tables.
Yeah.
And over to your left is a 3-layered stage where kind of the chorus is.
Mm-hmm.
And then so the singers and the dancers come out, and it's all in Spanish. And I took 2 years of Spanish in college and can't maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the performance is a story, so you can follow it
Right.
just by watching the costumes, listening to the tones of voices, and kind of seeing it. And it's just a fabulous performance. Best show. I mean, of all the shows that I've seen, stuff in Las Vegas and on the biggest cruise ships on the ocean, the Tropicana, the performance of Tropicana is the best show. And so they bring you, you know, on the they bring you as much Coca-Cola as you want,
Mm-hmm.
and they set out a big fifth of rum on the table, Havana Club Run, which is the original Bacardi, and you know, you just sit there and have some drinks and enjoy the show, and it's about a 2-hour show, and yeah, and then they bring some champagne or whatever else you want.
So the experience adds to the drink. So
Yes.
really, I think it still goes back to experience.
It comes back to the experience,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have something for you, okay? So I appreciate you coming on today. And okay, I got something. I'm not sure if you've ever had it. It's not from Havana. It's from Kentucky, possibly. And there's no label on it.
Oh, that there would be called moonshine.
Yes, sir. That is real moonshine. That's not moonshine that you're going to get at the liquor store that tastes like apple pie.
Am I going to be able to see after I drink?
I mean, you can clean your car parts. You can run your vehicle on it.
My brother will like it.
Yeah, and you possibly could get a buzz off of just sniffing it.
Oh, that sounds
But
great.
I'm not sure if you've ever had the real stuff.
I have not.
And so I know a guy, and that is the real stuff right there. That is the real
Well,
deal.
that's great. Thank you.
It's probably not going to be as good as the rum with the Coke in Havana, but it definitely will do the trick.
It'll be just as memorable.
Yeah. I don't know if you'll remember.
Hey, I got something else for you too. Okay.
Okay, awesome.
So, all right. So you got the Mardi Gras beads, but I know you like to work out and stuff.
Yeah.
And I know you're kind of a humble kind of guy, but so I figured you needed something so that everyone would know that you are a celebrity.
Oh, hell.
So I've got you a celebrity cruise backpack to
Awesome.
put your workout stuff in.
Awesome.
A little dot kit to put your shaving
Yeah.
gear and stuff in, and everybody needs a Swiss Army knife
Heck
shaped
yeah,
like
man.
a
Look
wine
at
bottle.
that. Look at that. I can open wine. Heck yeah. I like it, man. Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
It's been great.
Now, real quick before we end, is there anything that we didn't cover? We have about 2 minutes left. That you would want to tell my listeners, people who may be interested in doing anything that you've done, or just a life experience, or even just starting to do something to spend money or time on experience. You know what I mean?
I would think, the most important thing that I could, piece of advice I give somebody, particularly somebody's going to go into business of some form.
Yeah.
You need a coach.
Yeah.
I kind of struggled along in my law practice for the first 10, 15 years without a coach. And once I got a coach, someone who could help me set goals that were realistic, that were achievable, and frankly hold me accountable to my own goals.
Yeah.
That really made the difference. I went from just me in an office the size of this room to what at the time was probably the biggest criminal defense firm
Yeah.
in this part of the state. And then one of the beauties of working with Expedia is that they provide me that. They
Yeah.
provide me that coach. I have a franchise performance coach that works with us. And of course, my wife, I'm not the boss, by the way. My wife is the boss. She runs that place. So we spend a lot of time working with him, and again, setting goals that are achievable and realistic, and then helping us plan ways to achieve them and holding us accountable to them. So I think that, I think you have to have that.
Yeah.
Because the thing is it's like, even Tiger Woods has a coach, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because he can't see his swing.
Right.
You can't see your swing.
Right.
Somebody else has to see.
You need
your
someone to
swing.
call you out. You need
That's right.
someone to tell you you're doing bad.
Right.
You know?
Or to tell you you're doing good.
Right, of course. But to reflect on what's going on and how to get better
Mm-hmm.
and move forward.
So find a coach. Find somebody who is good at that. Someone who that's their passion.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate to work with some good coaches, and it made a huge difference for us.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Well, thank you for letting me have
I
it.
wish we had more time, but we're about to close out. But everyone, please subscribe to the podcast, and thanks again, sir.
All right. Happy Mardi Gras.
Yeah.